Namaste, my name is Sanat Kumar. Welcome back to the Manana podcast. Manana is a Sanskrit word that means reflection or contemplation. In this podcast, I'll be sharing my deep, insightful reflections for you to contemplate and hence live a life of fulfillment. I hope you find great value in today's episode. At the core, what are people actually struggling with? Ignorance and resistance. That is, people struggle by not knowing something or by only partially knowing something, and then there is the struggle of not being able to do or act on what they know. Of course, it's actually only one thing, but it seems to be two things, and that one thing is ignorance, lack of awareness. We've already looked into that in many of the previous episodes. By the way, if you do not know, these episodes are directly from my blogs, which you can find it on sanatkumarnebi.com. If you prefer reading, you can go check out my blogs. If you prefer listening, you can continue to listen to these episodes. Whether you are in partial awareness or in complete darkness, there exists a struggle. So it's awareness that can set us free from everything. Ignorance is the cause of all suffering. We have already seen that from our episode Understanding Advaita, part 5, 6, and so many other blogs where we have talked about awareness. So that much I think we've already established. And then there is resistance. Even though resistance is also a byproduct of ignorance, you cannot always wait for awareness to get out of resistance, right? Sometimes the way for awareness is by action. Let me tell you 8 simple facts that make action an easier choice. So here what we are essentially doing is, through awareness, gaining help to beat resistance. 1. Seek awareness. I know I told you that sometimes we cannot wait for awareness to take action, but if you haven't given any time to reflect, knowing the core reason for resistance can super jolt you into action. And awareness here means both what you must know of the world and that of within. 2. Action is always better than inaction. There will be growth with any deliberate action. Any deliberate action will take you somewhere. That's why I wrote this a few years ago. Be a plus or minus, but not a zero. Stagnation is worse than death. 3. Make action easy. Like the 2-minute rule or something like that, which you might have heard. Make your own version of it. For example, if you're trying to make a huge project, split it into mini, micro, then nano parts. Then start working on that smallest unit. By this, you will be rolling the still boulder. And once it starts rolling, you can take more and big parts of the tasks. 4. Make resistance hard. Resistance can be of various types. Sometimes it can be as simple as compulsive overwatching TV or overeating, or sometimes even in the form of a disease, at the worst case. Think of ways you can inhibit yourself from taking action. That is all that resistance can do to you. Now, think of all the things you can do to prevent all that. Example, hiding or even uninstalling certain apps that you tend to use compulsively. Or it can be very much specific actually. If you look at your lifestyle with a keen eyes, I think you will notice what is making resistance easy and try to opposite that. 5. Consistency is the holy grail. As we discussed in blog 53, the best birthday gift to yourself, the magical power of compound effect can work for you or against you. You have the choice. Consistency is the holy grail of action, because it is through consistency that any action becomes a habit. So I think you are getting a clear picture now. Awareness, and through it action, and consistent action will lead to habit. The same thing applies here also. Ignorance leads to resistance, and resistance to inaction, and consistent inaction will become habit. So moreover, treat it that way. If you believe in God, this should become your God. If you do not believe in God, this should be your God. And when we say consistency, we've moved to habits. And that connects us to the discussion of keystone habits, habit stacking, all that. How to create a habit, stick to it, etc. can be learned through the power of habits or atomic habits. I have read both, but my favorite one is the power of habits. 6. Commit in public. Actually, nobody cares if you fail your public commitment, but that provides enough drive within us to stick to the habit. Every work you share with the world acts as a habit contract. 7. Motivation. We need to consider whether it is an extrinsic motivator like money, fame, etc., or an intrinsic motivator like sense of meaning, purpose, fulfillment, all that. We should consider what you are after, and of course, if there is a strong intent, there is no need to speak of motivation. 8. What kind of person do you want to be? Do you want to be the man or woman who kept thinking, or do you want to be the man of action? If you ask this question, it is quite simple, isn't it? Because this is not a yes or no question, because we've got no choice here, objectively speaking. Within, we all know that we need action. And if you like a spiritual angle, it is due to the unexhausted baggage of actions or karma that we have been born in the first place. So the more and faster you can take on the accumulated actions, the sooner can you be free of all those actions. And sometimes, as I write in the blog 37, just letting go can help to get back on the track of action. But that's only for one who was on the track before in the first place. And also, it is not a general remedy for all situation and kinds of resistance. But these 8 simple facts are a general remedy for all actions involving any kind of resistance. Of course, unless it is resistance you are experiencing because you truly don't want to do that particular action, then probably it is time to reflect and see what action you think you need to do. I hope through this episode I have given you enough to work on and take action immediately on what you've been resisting and that which you know should be doing. I hope you received excellent value in today's episode. To know more, head over to sanatkumarnebi.com, and if you haven't already, check out my book The Flower of Fulfillment. Thank you for listening, and I wish you have a great day.